Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mind for Combat. If you're new to the channel, then why don't you help me to grow my fight platform by hitting the subscribe button, liking the video, and getting involved in the conversation in the comment section below. So for this video's fight that I'm going to break down for the upcoming UFC on ESPN5 main card, and it's the main event between Colby Covington and Robbie Lawler. Now this is a fight that's got it's kind of interesting how this fight got put together. Firstly, it's not a fight that anyone expected to be made, and secondly, it's a fight that I don't think was relevant or that should have been made in the top of the division. I felt like Colby was a clear #1 contender to fight for the belt, especially after winning an interim title in his fight with Rafael dos Anjos, and he's made a lot of noise. There's obviously that little bit of animosity between him and Kamaru Usman. I felt like he was natural to fight for the belt. He's also on a 6-fight win streak. Robbie Lawler, on the other hand, the former welterweight champion, who's one of my favourite fighters of all time, is actually 1-3 in his last 4 fights, has lost back-to-back fights, and whatever you want to say about the controversial finish in the Ben Askren fight, he hasn't had the consistency in terms of winning and performing at a high level over the last couple of years since he lost his belt to Tyron Woodley. Still, this fight is appealing, it's interesting, and the stylistic differences should make this an interesting fight to watch, and I for one, I'm looking forward to it, despite all of that. So now let's break this fight down and get into the tail of the tape. Colby Covington comes into this fight as a much younger man. He's 6 years younger than the 37-year-old Robbie Lawler. Colby Covington is 31. Now, being 37 years of age, he's obviously getting older in MMA years. He fights at welterweight, so he's older for a welterweight than it would be for, say, a heavyweight. And also, you've got to consider the fact that Robbie Lawler's had over 40 or so professional fights. He's also had tons of wars. Like, he's had legendary wars. We're talking about his wars with Rory McDonald, with Carlos Condit. He's had with Johnny Hendricks. He's had wars in the ring. He's been brutally knocked out by Nick Diaz early in his career. And you've got to wonder if the wear and tear and age is catching up with Robbie Lawler, whereas Colby Covington, he's had all of 15 pro fights. He's demonstratively one of the best in the world, and, he's still fresh in the game. So that brings us onto the records. Colby Covington is 14-1, as mentioned. Robbie Lawler is vastly more experienced than him, with a record of 28 wins, 13 losses, and 1 no contest. That experience should be a factor that we should consider in this fight. But I feel like Colby Covington, having been in the 5-round title fight with Rafael dos Anjos, having been in the main events, having put himself on, out in front of the world like that, the way he has, by putting himself out as a heel in a way, antagonizing the MMA world, and he's really created that interest in him. So he's had that pressure on his shoulders before. This is not his first main event fight, and I feel like coming into this fight, it's going to be very interesting to watch how this fight plays out and see how he deals with the experience of Robbie Lawler. But I don't think it should be a key factor. They both stand at 5'11" tall, but the difference is here. Robbie Lawler has a 77-inch reach, which gives him a 5-inch reach advantage over Colby Covington. Given the fact that Robbie Lawler is going to have a striking advantage over Colby Covington as well, that is a key statistic to note, and Robbie Lawler should be able to take advantage of that. Now let's look at their styles. With Robbie Lawler, you can very easily describe him as a sprawl and brawl kind of striker. He likes to strike, he hits hard when he does hit, and he's ferocious. He's a ferocious human being. He's very violent. He thrives in the violence. Whereas Colby Covington, you can describe him as a pressure wrestler. He likes to go forward, put his opponents on the cage. He does have good stand-up. He throws good kicks, good punches, as you saw in his fight with Rafael dos Anjos. And he likes to pressure fighters against the cage, take them down. And, he's got incredible conditioning, and he uses his conditioning as one of his weapons in the fight. And I believe he'll be using that as a weapon in this fight. Let's look at some of the key wins. So for Colby Covington, this will be a lot easier to go through. He's got 3 wins that I respect very highly and put him at the top. He's beaten the likes of Rafael dos Anjos for the interim title in his last fight. Prior to that, he beat Damian Maia, who was just coming off a world title attempt, and he's beaten Dong Kyung Kim, who's was a mainstay in the top 10 of the welterweight division for a long period of time. Aside from that, he has got some relevant wins. He's beaten guys like Brian Bam Bam Barberina and Max Griffin, who's a good fighter, but nothing to the level of Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler on his end has beaten Don Cerrone in his most recent win. He beat Rory McDonald not once but twice, which is a great win. Rory Mac's the current Bellator welterweight champion. He beat Carlos Condit. He beat Johnny Hendricks in a war of a fight. He's beaten Matt Delore Linden back in the day, and he even beat Chris Lights Out Lytle back in the day. Those are good wins as well. Some of the issues for Colby Covington coming into this fight, I think the biggest issue is going to be that he's been inactive over the last year. He hasn't fought very much, and I wonder if that's going to impact him against a really durable veteran who's going to be at home in the cage at all times. Also, the fight with Damian Maia, he got busted up by Damian Maia, who's not known as the best striker. So if he's hittable against Damian Maia, you got to wonder how hittable he's going to be against Robbie Lawler, for example, who, if he hits you the amount of times Damian Maia hit Colby Covington, Colby Covington's in a world of trouble. For Robbie Lawler, the biggest issue off the bat for me is going to be wear and tear. He's definitely still got the motivation. He's a violent human being. He loves to fight. But has he got wear and tear on his body to the same Robbie Lawler he once was? I don't think so at this stage, when you consider his injuries and all the rest of it. The X factor for Colby Covington is going to be his cardio, his conditioning, and his wrestling. He's going to pressure wrestle Robbie Lawler. And for Robbie Lawler, his X factor is going to be his power and his experience. Now, how do I see the fight playing out? Let's get into my prediction. If you look at Robbie Lawler's fight with Rafael dos Anjos, where Rafael dos Anjos was able to pressure Robbie Lawler against the cage, and with his striking and mixing some grappling, and then you consider what Colby Covington was able to do to Rafael dos Anjos, you got to consider that Colby Covington is going to approach the fight in a very similar way to Rafael dos Anjos did coming into this fight, especially being knowing that he is better than Rafael dos Anjos at doing what RDA did. Now, agreed, he hasn't got the stand-up that RDA does, but his size and his wrestling do make up for it. I believe that Robbie Lawler has his opportunities to win. He can crack any man, and he can crack any man real hard, and if he does, that man's in a world of trouble. So that's something to consider in this fight. Do I think he's going to be able to crack Colby Covington before he gets taken down? I don't think so. I believe that Colby Covington's going to come out and immediately be in Robbie Lawler's face for the entirety of the 25 minutes. He's going to be pushing him against the cage, using his wrestling and pushing him against the cage and getting the takedowns, striking him against the cage, and he's going to be pushing real hard. He's going to wear Robbie Lawler down. Robbie Lawler won't be able to get out of it, unfortunately. Now, I would love to see Robbie Lawler just land a flying knee a la George Masvidal or Ben Askren, or land a crazy strike, just pop him in the face and drop him, and that would be great because I'm a huge Robbie Lawler fan. But as a realist and a fight analyst, I've got to be realistic about this, and I see that Colby Covington has the tools to win, especially based on their past performances, Robbie Lawler's most recent losses and Colby Covington's most recent wins. So fight fans, for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Colby Covington to get a 5-round unanimous decision win over the tough and ever durable Robbie Lawler, and then hopefully he'll move on to fight for the belt if George Masvidal don't get ahead of him. Anyways, fight fans, why don't you comment below with your predictions on this fight? Let me know what you thought about this prediction. Let me know if you've got any criticism for me to improve my content. And thank you for watching, guys. Mindful Combat.